Today we're going to talk about how to create an approval process without using the entire internal Cherwell approval engine. The way we do this is by using business processes, or automation processes as they're called in Cherwell 5.0. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and make sure that the approval process is set up for the object we're dealing with. In this case, we'll go ahead and use the change request out of the demo database, and we go ahead and we edit the approvals. Now by default there are multiple approvals for change request, and what we're going to do is we're going to just use the normal change assessment approval as an example today. We edit that approval. If we were creating our own approval, we would do that at that point, and the trigger condition actually can remain the same. But in order to custom build approval processes rather than using the approval engine here, the first thing we need to do is actually remove all of the approvers. And in order to do this, you just simply select and remove, and now we don't actually have any approvers available. In this case, what we want to do is we want the approval process to begin, but we want to control the creation and disposition of approvals. The actions again can remain the same because as the approval process moves forward, this engine will actually control what happens when the status of an approval goes to approved, or to denied, or to abstained, or if time runs out. Once we've done that, we go ahead and we publish this blueprint. And once it's been published, we'll go ahead and we'll edit our automation processes to create the approval rather than allowing the system to do it for us. So now with the blueprint published, I've gone ahead and created a new automation process blueprint where I will in fact create my approvals. In this case, the first thing I want to do is create a new simple action event process which will create my approval. And this actually is going to be based on the change request, and it's going to be when the change request changes to a specific status. Now, you can trigger this off of obviously anything as you would any other automation process, but we find that status is actually pretty useful for when we're building the approval process. And what we want to do is we want to change it to a value of approving for normal except for assessing. So what we want to do is So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at assessing for a normal for a normal change. That is the approval status that we want for these approvals to get created. So when it goes to assessing, what we want to do then is we want to make sure that the change request is open. We only actually want to run this one time, unless you want the ability to go back to the assessing process multiple times, in which case then you can take that limit off. But this helps us to avoid infinite loops in case something needs to come out of assessing and then go back into assessing. We don't want to continually create more and more and more approvals. And then finally, the one-step action we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and create an approval. In this case, under change request, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new one-step. In this case, actually, we're not going to create a new business object. We're going to create a child business object so that we already have the relationship there, and we're going to create an approval. Now we're going to select, our approvers. We're going to select whatever we need to. Now this may in fact require multiple approvers, in which case in 5 what we can do is we can loop back through based on an expression. If we only have just the one approver, we can go ahead and just select their name here, and that may be based on an expression, or it may just be based on an actual value of someone, and that could actually be anyone in the user groups. Now we can update this so that you can expand this to your customer base, and one of the reasons you'd want to do that is you may have managers who are not licensed users of Cherwell that need to do approvals, and then they can actually approve through email without consuming an actual Cherwell license. In this case, maybe we say that Sawyer Watson is always the approver. We can add some details here if we want. We can add a deadline if we so choose. All of these things are possible. Once that's done, when our change goes to that assessment, that assessing status, it will actually create this approval for us. And there's our create assessment approval automated process. The other thing we would want to do at this point, obviously, is we actually want to send out these notifications. Out of the box, there's a disabled process to send out change notifications whenever an approval gets added. The reason that that's there is because we want to be able to create these approvals outside of the engine and not allow the engine to send the email itself, and then we can control the email a little bit more granularly. Once that's done, you actually have built yourself an approval that does not require full engine, basically full approval engine integration.